Hi there. Good afternoon. Good morning. Even good. I'll start again. Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning wherever you are in the world today. Welcome to Live with Leila. My name is Leila Singh and I am a leadership, career, and personal brand coach. My mission is to impact 100,000 people's career trajectory beyond what they thought possible. Why? Because I am passionate about helping you to realize what is truly possible for you in your career and in your life through harnessing your leadership potential. I coach high achieving, ambitious, and driven mid to senior level professionals working in the technology industry who are looking for promotion, for achieving peak performance, and a standout personal brand, all while showing up as the best version of yourself, what I call life leadership. Welcome each and every one of you who are joining me live today. If you're joining live, then do please say hello in the comments. I know you're there watching, and let me know where in the world you are joining from. And if you're watching on replay, then do hashtag replay in the comments also. And again, let me know where you're watching on replay from, which city you're in, which country you are in. Sharon, hello there. Great to have you on. So we're going to dive straight into today's topic because I've got a lot to share with you today. And we've only got a limited amount of time to do so. So what is today's title? Today is all about how posture drives confidence in leadership. So why am I talking about this? Well, here's the thing. In today's competitive working landscape, standing out isn't just about what you know or what you know and who you know and what you can do. It's also about how you present yourself. In other words, forming an impression with other people, people's perception of you. And as you probably heard before, others form an impression of us within the first 7 seconds. So you want to be seen as confident, as capable, and ready to lead. Today, I want to share with you one simple strategy that not only shapes how others perceive you, it also shapes how you feel about yourself. It elevates your own feelings of confidence, of certainty, and belief in yourself. So, what is that strategy? The strategy I'm talking about today is managing your posture. What exactly do I mean by posture? It's about, excuse me, it's about sitting up straight and standing tall. But not only is it about this, these are important components, but there are also other areas of this that are important for you to take on board and to embrace. Excuse me, one moment while I just take a drink. So, posture encompasses, as I said, more than just sitting up straight and standing tall. It's also about the entire way that you hold your body, whether you're sitting at your desk, you're conversing in conversation with colleagues, maybe stood at the water cooler or the coffee machine, or when you're giving a presentation. It's about the alignment of your spine, the position of your shoulders, and the confidence with which you carry yourself in any given situation. So let me know if this makes sense to you, first of all, and think about your posture right now. Is this something that you're even aware of? Is it something you think about when you show up, whether that's online on a let's say a Zoom or a Teams call, or when you head into the office or go to see a client? Are you thinking about your posture and the way that you carry yourself? This is incredibly powerful. It's one thing that I'm sharing with you today, but it makes such a difference. And I will give you a real example of this and how it impacted somebody that I spoke to and shared these strategies with some time ago. So my next question for you is, why is posture essential when it comes to advancing your career? Because oftentimes we focus on what we're saying and what others say. In other words, we focus on the words, the verbal communication. We believe often that what we say is the most important thing, when in fact, actually, it's only 7% of your communication, which comprises words and what we speak. what does that mean? If only 7% of communication is words and speaking, what is the 93%? Well, 38% of that is your tonality. But actually 55% of your communication is the non-verbal cues, the body language, the physiology, almost the subconscious aspects of your communication. So what we want to do today is to bring those subconscious aspects of your communication into your conscious awareness, so that now you can leverage that and improve upon that, develop it to such a point that it has you feeling more confident and in control and having certainty, but it also gives that perception for the people around you. So when I talk about posture, it is a form of non-verbal communication. As I said, and this is important, and you might want to write this down, communication comprises 7% words, 38% tonality, in other words, the way that you deliver your message, and 55% is your physiology. A large part of that is your body language. And your posture sends a message. It sends a message to the people around you, conveying whether you're confident, you're assertive, you're in control, or if you're uncertain, maybe feeling a little bit insecure and hesitant. And think about this for yourself, because it's an unconscious awareness. It's, we don't, when we meet somebody or observe somebody, let's say in the workplace, we don't automatically start thinking, oh yeah, they're not really standing tall, so that means they're not really confident in themselves, or maybe they have a bit of insecurity going on. We don't go through that dialogue in our head, but it's a feeling, it's an instinct. It's almost like when you see somebody speaking on stage, you form an impression of them, and that will be driven to a large degree by their physiology. Even though you're not consciously assessing that and thinking about it, you will pick it up subconsciously. And just that body language and the way they carry themselves on stage will have you either following them and seeing them as a leader and buying into their messaging, or not, and thinking, actually, I'm not really buying into this person. I don't feel that they're confident in what they're saying, and so forth. So it's not it's that feeling that you have when you meet people, the impression that you get without necessarily analyzing it. So what I'm saying here is, when it comes to your physiology, it's something you can grow and develop into in terms of how you're showing up. But for other people, it's simply a perception. It's a feeling they will pick up, and almost like an energy they will get from you, from meeting you, and that impression that they form of you. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. Any questions, as always, pop them in too, and I will endeavor to answer them either here live, or if you're watching on replay, pop the questions in, tag me, and I will come back and respond to you. So continuing with our subject matter, in an environment, so in the workplace, where your people's perception is their reality, in other words, what they perceive is their truth. What they see occurring around them is what they believe to be true. Mastering your posture can be the difference between blending in and standing out. So what is it that you are seeking? Are you seeking to stand out, to make that great impression, to be top of mind for others, for have them gravitating towards you, to want to work with you, have them in their teams, to hire you for that next promotion, or have you top of mind when it comes to that bonus pot or that salary increase, when there's always limited funds available? What is it for you? Is it a need to stand out, or is it a case of wanting to blend in? Now, there's no right or wrong answer. For some people, they're happy to blend in. In the workplace where it is competitive, if you are someone who's ambitious, you're high achieving, you want to stand out, you want to move up the corporate ladder, then you want to be looking to stand out and looking for ways to do that. So consider this. When you adopt a strong, confident posture, so in other words, you're standing tall with your shoulders back and your head held high, you not only look the part of the leader, but you also feel it. And that's what's really important with posture. It's not only about other people's perceptions of you, it's how it makes you feel. Studies have shown that assuming a power pose, so whatever that pose is for you, and I'm not necessarily talking about the kind of the Wonder Woman pose where you stood with your hands on your hips. It's just about standing tall, standing in your own power, shoulders back, head up, rather than I guess the opposite of that would be feeling like more hunched over, sort of shoulders rounded, looking at the floor or looking down all the time. It gives a different perception to people. So think about what your power pose is. What is that your demeanor, your physiology that has you feeling that you're standing in your power, in confidence, in control, and having that element of certainty about yourself. Because when you do this, you, as I said, it's not about only looking like you're a leader, like you're in that power, but it's also about how you feel internally about it. And for me, this is what's so incredible about this. And studies show that when you do assume this power pose, just going back to what I was saying, is that it can boost testosterone levels. And not only that, it decreases cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which leads to increased feelings of confidence and reducing your levels of stress. So imagine that when you're about to go and deliver a presentation to a room full of people and you're feeling stressed. When you shift that demeanor, your physiology, and that alleviates some of the stress, imagine how much better your presentation and your engagement, your delivery can be. And I've never been a believer in the phrase fake it till you make it. This is not about faking it till you make it. And by the way, in case you're wondering why I've said that, it's because of the language. I'm NLP trained, I'm a master practitioner, and I listen to the language that we use when we talk about ourselves. And when we start to talk about faking something, that's not really a positive message that you're giving to yourself or to the world around you when you start to think that and live into it. So to me, it brings up a lot of negative connotations and the meaning behind it. It's like a constant pretense. And also the question I often have for people when they say that is, at what point do you then stop faking it? At what point do you decide that you've made it and you no longer need to fake it? So for me, it's not about faking it until you make it. Instead, what is it about? It's about embodying the qualities that you aspire to, the qualities and the behaviors, until they become second nature to you. This is what I mean when I talk about unconscious behavior. It's a little bit like if you're a driver and you get in the car and drive from location A to location B. And sometimes you get to location B, you arrive there and you can't even remember how you got there because it's unconscious behavior. You've maybe driven for so long. You don't really need to think about it. Just get in the car behind the steering wheel and off you go. Whereas somebody who's learning to drive, it's conscious behavior. They're still having to think about everything. They're thinking about checking the mirrors, turning on the ignition, putting the car into the right gear, turning off the handbrake, and so forth. Or you're thinking about everything constantly because it's conscious behavior, because you're still in learning mode. When you embody something, so when you embody, in this case, your posture, your power pose, then it becomes unconscious behavior. So how exactly can you leverage your posture so that it enhances your confidence and your influence in the workplace, whether that's in your immediate team, with your team members, within the wider organization, or even in the industry, if you go to industry events and so forth. And this starts with awareness, self-awareness, and intentionality. So I invite you to pay attention to how you hold yourself in various situations throughout the day. Are you slouching in your chair during meetings? Do you tend to cross your arms defensively when you're in a conversation with someone, when you're presenting ideas? Do you record? Do you ever look back at yourself? In other words, do you ever have the opportunity to record yourself or watch yourself back on video and notice your natural stance? Is it serving you or is it hindering you? So my invitation to you is to review yourself. So whether it's going through in your own mind's eye or recording yourself, particularly if it's in a presentation where you can ask someone to record it for you on their phone, or if it's being recorded anyway, and watch yourself back. And then ask yourself, how would you perceive this person if you were watching them presenting, for example? And here's the thing I want to just mention here. And I often hear people say, I don't like watching myself back, or I don't like listening to myself. I don't like the sound of my voice, and so forth and so forth. But actually, it's the quickest way to learn and to improve. How do I know that? Because it was something I learned very quickly. When I initially, as many of you will know, I was part of a professional speakers academy for a number of years. And when I started out there, before becoming a mentor for them, one of the first things I learned was my stance, my posture when I'm stood delivering a presentation. How did I do that? Because somebody filmed me. And as soon as I watched myself back and I took that my natural stance at that time, or we're talking 10 years, 9 years ago, my natural stance when I'm standing and presenting was to stand with my weight to one side, so more weight on one leg, leaning over, so sort of a relaxed stance as I'm talking. And when I watched myself back, and then I went into what we call speaker stance, in other words, equal weight on both feet. So you stood tall, you stood straight, shoulders back, head up. The impact of that small shift in how I saw myself meant that I never went into that relaxed stance again in the workplace, or even outside of the workplace. It was almost like I could feel myself go into that state, let's call it, or stance, as soon as I walked into the office. As soon as I met somebody, started to say hello, have a conversation, how was your weekend, I just feel myself go into that stance. And I do it even today. And that's become almost more unconscious. You just feel yourself doing it. But the impact it has both for how you feel and how other people around you feel is second to none, honestly. So you really want to hone this and embody the qualities like your posture, physiology, and other behaviors that you aspire to. And when you become mindful of these habits, of these behaviors, you can then begin to make more conscious adjustments, in the same example I've just given you of myself, that will project more confidence and more authority. So I'd like to share with you some practical tips for improving your posture and boosting your confidence in the workplace. So number one, which I kind of mentioned already, is stand tall. So whether you're in a one-on-one conversation or addressing a room full of colleagues, you want to stand with your feet shoulder width apart, your spine straight, and your shoulders relaxed and back rather than hunched or curved forward. And you can almost imagine like having a string on your head pulling you gently upward from the top of your head, so it elongates your spine. Or some people will say, imagine that you're carrying a pile of books on your head, so you're keeping your head tall to keep those books balanced on your head. So that's the first thing, is standing tall. The second is own your space. So avoid making yourself small in a space. In other words, you want to avoid crossing your arms or hunching over, which can make you appear a little bit closed off and insecure. Instead, what I invite you to do is to spread out slightly. So take up a bit more physical space to assert your presence and command that attention. And remember, this isn't only about when you're presenting in a meeting or to an audience. It's even when you just walk into the office or walk into a client meeting. Think about how you're carrying yourself. The third point is making eye contact. When you speak to others, you want to look to maintain that eye contact to convey that confidence and engagement, because often people will look away, they'll look at the floor. It's almost, it can create a lack of trust between people. So avoid looking down or around the room, because this can suggest you're nervous or you're disinterested even. The fourth point is to practice active listening. And good posture isn't just about how you present yourself, it's also about how you engage with others. So show that you're fully present, you're attentive, maybe lean in slightly forward, nodding in agreement, acknowledging what somebody is saying to you, and mirroring body language of the person that you're speaking with. So if you're in a one-on-one conversation, for example, that's a great habit to start to hone and develop. And then number 5 is use your gestures purposefully. So when presenting or speaking in meetings, you want to use gestures that emphasize your points and add dynamism to your delivery. But you want to keep your movements smooth and deliberate. So avoid fidgeting or excessive hand movements that can detract from the message. But also remember to not be stood there with your hands, I'll show you in the camera here, like this, like held, like clenched tightly together, which suggests that you're nervous, you're anxious, that you're lacking confidence. You don't want that to be the perception that people have of you. So relax. Something else that I just want to mention here that can be useful is to, if you're feeling particularly nervous in a situation, whether it's maybe in a meeting and you want to speak up and share something, or as I said, you're presenting to an audience, is to take a couple of slow, long, deep breaths. And you could do this without anyone really noticing. And what it does is it relaxes your entire physiology, which helps to alleviate some of the anxiety, the stress, and the tension in your body. So the tension you might have in your shoulders, for example, or in the rest of your body, which means that you can't then relax and get into that sort of confident state of being and of posture. So taking those slow, long, deep breaths will help you to relax and then think about, okay, how am I standing? Are my shoulders relaxed? Are they back? Is my head up, straight? Am I making eye contact? Am I standing with equal weighting on both feet and standing tall? And there is incredible power in all of this, and I'll share the story with you now. So it must have been over maybe 5-6 years ago. I attended it's one of the main UK banks, NatWest RBS, had an event, and they had a panel. It was like a women in tech event, and they had a panel of speakers, and I was one of the speakers on stage. And we had about 150 people in the room. So at the end of the panel discussion, we were then, or I was at least speaking with people in the audience and just walking around the room. And one individual approached me. She was a young lady. She was probably, I think from memory, about 2 years out of university. So it's one of her early jobs that she had. And she's quite petite, but she made herself even smaller by her demeanor. So I'm 5'2". I think she must have been about like just under 5 foot. And but she was also hunched, so shoulders were hunched and rounded. She had her head down, and she approached me and she said, "Oh, thank you for what you shared in the panel. I'd love to be like you." So I said, "Well, what do you actually mean by that?" And she said, "You just come across really confidently and so forth and so forth." So I said, "Look, let me share a few strategies with you that you can take away and implement straight away tomorrow morning when you go back to work, and see how you get on with that." And what I shared with her was a lot of what I've spoken about today. Probably not even as much as I've shared today, because it was a very short conversation. But what really blew my mind, and which is what I've been emphasizing today, is that she went away, she took on board what I had shared with her. And the next day she messaged me, and I can distinctly remember this because the next day I was on a flight to, I think it was Poland, for work. And when you're just about to switch your phone off as you board the plane and so forth, and this message came through from LinkedIn. And so she messaged me to say, "Thank you, it's great to meet you." And she said, "I cannot believe the difference in the experience I've had today in the office." She said, "I did everything that you said as I went to the office today." And she said, "I can't believe the difference in the way that others are behaving towards me." So I had shared with her these strategies for her to feel more confident in herself, because that's what she said she was struggling with. And for her, I'm assuming she went in, she stood tall, she made eye contact, she smiled at people. And this is somewhere, it wasn't her first day at work. She'd been working there for about 6 months at this point. Yet she noticed immediately the difference in the way people were behaving towards her, and coming towards her, that the behaviors, the way they engage with her, simply through that. So this is something that can change overnight if you just think about your posture, how you carry yourself, your demeanor, and how that is coming across to others. And by shifting that and making the small adjustments that I have shared with you today can make all the difference in the way that people engage with you, people wanting to gravitate towards you. And going back to when you're advancing your career, you're wanting to be in the leadership role, having that to your advantage of having people who want to hire you, who want to promote you, who want to be in your space is incredibly powerful. So really do think about what you could do to improve your posture and the way that you show up in the workplace. So by incorporating these strategies into your daily routine and making a conscious effort to improve your posture, you will enhance your confidence, your credibility, and your influence amongst your colleagues, amongst your management team, amongst your team members, and so forth. And remember that posture isn't just about how you look, it's about how you feel and how you're perceived by others. So stand tall and project that confidence and that credibility. And notice how it shapes others' perceptions of you, as well as boosting your confidence and also creating more success and opportunities for you that will come towards you. And by mastering this, by mastering your posture and then leveraging the impact of this on both your mindset and your executive presence, you can position yourself as a leader and stand out in any professional setting. So my invitation to you today is to straighten your spine and to show the world the confident, capable leader that you are. Let me know if you have any questions on anything I have shared today, what actions you are going to take on the back of this. And let me know, I'd love to hear any stories of what you notice that changes, what's different, or how people engage with you as a consequence of you shifting your behavior, your posture, and the way that you show up. That story I shared with you is a true story, and it really blew my mind, because when I shared with her, with this young lady, the strategies that I've shared with you today, I was coming at it at that point from a place of how it can help her to feel more confident. And yet the next day when I saw that message about how she noticed how people were different towards her and engaging differently with her, that just really showed to me and almost reinforced the power of posture. So until next time, remember to harness your potential, to elevate your performance and strive towards growth. Pursue that next promotion or that next big goal that you have by showing up as the best version of you. As I said, if you're watching on replay, any questions you have, pop them in the comments, tag me, and I will come back and answer them. And before you disappear, quick reminder, if you haven't already done so, then do subscribe to my recently launched LinkedIn newsletter, which shares a lot of my content and articles about the topics that I talk about around career growth, personal growth development, personal branding, and so much more, particularly around mindset, which is the biggest thing that can hold us back from moving forward. So do check that out. The link will be in the comments shortly as well for you. And one last thing, if you haven't done so, head over please to my YouTube channel. Check out the wealth and breadth of videos that are in there. They're all my podcast videos in there with incredible leaders from the tech industry who generously share their time, their stories, their career journeys, and showing us what is possible when it comes to your career. So do check those out. As well as that, there's all of my previous lives in there too on all the topics that I've mentioned earlier, as well as additional training videos around career growth and development and personal branding. So do please head over, check it out. Please subscribe and do share with others who can benefit from the content too. So I'll see you same time, same place next week. Until then, have a great rest of the week and take care.